Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here, and today we're looking at a guide for Mega Audino. And this Pokemon is beyond anything I could have really expected. That its defensive gain just became so insane, and it already has a really high amount of hit points. So this Pokemon just immediately screamed to me as like the ultimate tank. So when I kept looking at it, what it had, the healer ability, it's kind of distracting at first. You want to think like, well, maybe it's just gonna be a doubles only super tank that has like hyper amounts of support. But then I was looking at it on some other levels and comparing it to Clefable. You kind of get to understand that this Pokemon is more insane than one of the strongest tanks in the game. Like, I feel Clefable is one of the strongest tanks ever. The way that it sets up and like the way that it works. But the stats on Mega Audino just surpass it in almost every way, so that's pretty awesome. Now when we look at the typing, it also becomes a normal fairy type. Now, it keeps the fairy weaknesses and really makes the fighting weakness from the normal become neutral, but you do gain that immunity to ghost, and you still have your bug and dark resistances while being immune to dragon. So overall, the defensive typing is really good. You only have 2 weaknesses, and you don't have to really worry about too much. It's going to be hard to find like a really safe switch in though. It's still just like a really fun typing, and overall like the whole way that Mega Audino comes together is really strong. So hopping into Pokemon Showdown, like, the idea I had was like, well, this is just going to be another Clefable. Run defensive nature, bold nature, go for a calm mind with max hit points, max defense, and now you just have this unstoppable Pokemon that its defense is 407 hit points with almost 400 defense. You can take super effective hits pretty well even. Like, since I've run Clefable quite a lot, I see so much more potential in Mega Audino because we compare it to Clefable really quick here, that the hit points, you have slightly less hit points, but the defense on Clefable is really its weakness. That even with a defensive nature, you're not getting very high. You have over 100 points more on Audino with some hit points to spare. Like, that's just, well, wrong set. That's just like so absurd and really fun to think about. Then the special defense is higher even. That the special defense, you're going to get more boost out of your Calm Mind, you're going to be harder to knock out. The only thing you have is less special attack, but from there, Audino plays the same. That you have Calm Mind into Draining Kiss. Draining Kiss is going to be an excellent form of sustain. That after 2 or 3 Calm Minds, Draining Kiss is going to heal you for a majority of your health back. What makes Clefable so strong is that its sustain is pretty insane, and it also has the ability Magic Guard. It doesn't take damage from non-direct attacks. Now, Audino kind of has that, like it can't safely switch in onto hazards like Clefable can, but you have Heal Bell. So if you ever get status, Heal Bell, and it goes away, which is actually a little better, because if you get paralyzed on Clefable, that can be a problem. Audino, not so much. And then you round it out with a Flamethrower to handle the steel types that resist your Draining Kiss, and you're just going to be excellent. Now, some other options that, instead of Flamethrower, you can carry Wish. That way you have like a lot more of a guaranteed sustain, and then you can go with the Moonblast. Or not, I guess it gets Dazzling Gleam instead. Yeah, there we go, Dazzling Gleam. So now you have the really strong hitting fairy type move that's going to get stabbed, and you have to, like, the Heal Bell is you need to have it pretty much, because if you get status, that could kind of be game over. So this one, I feel that this is a little less awesome than Clefable. Like, Clefable, what makes it so strong is that Flamethrower against fairy types. So I like to play the riskier game, that if you can get set up to do a good Draining Kiss, then you win. But there you kind of have a little vulnerability from there, but after that you're just completely unstoppable, and you're much more reliable to set up with Mega Audino. Like, I was thinking healer ability, well, I mean, that doesn't help you at all. Like, for singles, yet this Pokemon is strongest in singles, I would say. Then for the double battle idea, like, healer's still a great ability to have. So I was considering it for, you can run mixed tank, go with a high amount of defense, good amount of special defense with a special defense nature, or you can invert these, make this 36 and then 220 on a defensive nature, and it's still going to accomplish the same thing, running Trick Room. I could see this Pokemon being very efficient for setting Trick Room, and then having incredible amounts of support from there, that with its tankiness, it's going to be a Pokemon that you can't really ignore. It's going to be heal pulsing your super like sweepy Pokemon. It's going to be having reliable Trick Room. I was thinking you can carry Knockoff on it. Knockoff is going to make it, well, like, if you're cycling through your opponent's Pokemon, you're going to be cycling through hits as well. Set up Trick Room, knock off one of your opponent's strong items, Heal Pulse, knock off. There's probably a KO for your opponent somewhere, and then you still have support from there that, depending on the Pokemon you're running, you could also go for a Reflect or Light Screen. That Reflect is really good, the metagame has a lot of strong physical Pokemon, or you can go for like pure dedicated support Light Screen Reflect, and now they have, like, even though there's no attacking moves on the Audino, still an incredible threat. That if you're making it to where your sweeper or your MVP Pokemon is taking half damage from all sources, is under a Trick Room. It doesn't even have to be Trick Room depending on how you play it, but just going to help Mega Audino out a bit because it's so slow. And then it's getting healing every turn. Like, you're going to have to do something about Mega Audino eventually, because you could just run Mega Audino and 3 sweepers, and if they don't deal with the Mega Audino, your sweepers are going to eventually just steamroll your opponent. So that's the way I can see it. It also gets Dazzling Gleam, so you can play it more from that, but just the tanky stats of this Pokemon require it to take a lot of Focus Fire and then play out from there. You can also maybe even go for the craziness, Charge Beam. You send out a Charge Beam, and then your Dazzling Gleam gets a little power, while being such a tanky beast. Hitting both opponents, even for a little damage, could mean a lot of difference under that Trick Room. And now it's like, oh, this Audino isn't even supporting, it's just attacking me. If they are focusing down your sweepers, Heal Pulsing, it takes 2-hit, 3-hit KOs, you're on +3/+4 using Dazzling Gleam on Charge Beam, those last couple of the turns of the battle, Audino might be able to come through and just sweep. So, Mega Audino is very, very surprisingly strong. Like, when I first saw it, I was like, what's Mega Audino going to do? Got the perfect stats, and now it's stronger than one of the strongest tanks out there, is the way I see it. It's just the ultimate Fairy-type Pokemon, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. That's how you use Mega Audino.